Hey, hello everyone. Thank you for joining me. Just gonna spit some facts, simple, to the point. How do we progress fast spiritually? And the answer is the only way, I think, the only way to progress at all is through shadow work. Shadow work means shining light where there hasn't been light previously. So there are shadows in our own psyches and, psychologies, in our own makeup, our own way of being on an individual basis, and there are shadows, collective shadows. I've talked before here about hidden religions, and on reflection I've realized that these hidden religions are shadow. They are areas of shadow, areas of darkness. If we want to evolve, the way we can actually measure our spiritual progress, I think, is through our alignment, the alignment of our thought, feeling, and our action. So when we think about something that's happened, that's happening, that's going to happen, and then we have a feeling, and then we act, these things should be informing each other and should be resonant with each other. And the more that happens, the more spiritually advanced we are as beings. And so I'm going to bring up a little graphic that I've done which covers these. So first I'll just show you this. So this is my little graphic. It's work in progress, but it has the sort of larger, starting with scientism in the top left. Maybe if I do this for you. We have scientism up here. Then next across, statism, carnism, Satanism, and then along the bottom we've got religion, as in the world religions, money, materialism, and New Ageism. So these are the 8 realms that you can do shadow work in starting immediately, really, really easily, and you don't have to get into your own trauma and stuff like that necessarily, because these are universal places where we don't really think. We're conditioned not to really investigate our own thoughts in these areas, not to apply reason to these areas. And there may be more. This is, as I say, it's a work in progress, but I'll bring this up full screen and just talk through it. So in the middle we've got subdominism. So this is my sort of formalizing the idea that it's near universal, if not universal, for humans to relate to reality in terms of submitting and dominating. And that this is such second nature that it is difficult to apply morality to it, because we are blind to our own conditioning. So I think that subdominism is a play in all of these areas. That's why I've kind of developed this whole bit of thought that I'm thinking. And so I'll just talk through them. So scientism is really, as it says up there, outsourcing discernment. So that's, you can get into shadow work here by just simply asking why you trust someone, or who you trust, why you trust them, what and how you know things, and to what degree that is influenced by the crowd, or some favorable characteristic or impressive characteristic of the source of some information. So this is just an ongoing, so each of these is just an invitation. So there you go. So that you can make immediate progress there. Anyone can, by looking at sources that they trust, whether it's some doesn't, it could be any source, and you just and just really reflecting on it really deeply with your own conscience, applying your actual conscience to the to each of these areas. And so this is one. So it's applying your conscience to the question, how do I know what I know? What is good information, or what is grounded? What is information that is grounded in reality, or what is the supposed reality that different information is grounded in? These are all questions, I would say, that are to do with the issue of scientism, or the shadow of scientism, which is sort of, can be defined, I guess, as just belief in an authority. It's like faith in the scientist rather than in the person that's called a scientist, rather than in the actual scientific method. It's a very simple way of understanding it, but it implies in lots right through. There's a vast spectrum of ways that we do this. We all will be doing this, abdicating and sort of colluding and basically getting into status games, which is subdominism. That's kind of where you say, oh, well, this is all right, it's this person. So you sort of, this is about an integrity of being absolutely integrated with your conscience. And again, with all of these things, they're huge. They're huge opportunities for spiritual progress, but they can be enacted in a very personal and subtle way through reflection and action. So reflection, thought, that's reflection and contemplation. In a way, that's where your thought and your feeling intermingle, and you can go, oh, I think this, and then you have a feeling. You go, oh, now, so I'm feeling that. So what does that mean? And then you can interpret that. So you have a dialogue between thought and feeling, and then that leads to the integrated action, because your thought is listening to your feeling, which is obviously a lot of the time that's not happening so much. Right, so we've got scientism there. So I'm just kind of going to whiz through them. Hopefully that made sense to you. So statism, this is just a very blunt idea that anyone has the authority to wield force legitimately to dominate and to coerce them at all. And it's just a very, very simple moral question. And the simplest way to think about it is in terms of just the morals of two people and what's right and wrong if two people are neighbors. What's right? What right does one have? That does one of them have a right that the other doesn't have? You know, these kinds of questions. If you just dig into those questions and really figure out the very simple morals of the situation between one being and another being, the very, very simple basic morals, and then look at the world and look at what the state is, and just think about that, and think about your relationship with the state, which is probably quite complicated for most of us and multi-layered, and we'll have different, we might say, contradictory things. So this is another part of shadow work, is applying reason across the board, you know. So that's statism. So that's another opportunity. You can make spiritual progress, huge spiritual progress. This is one of this particular thing for me was a vast hurdle that I just never really contemplated. I just never genuinely contemplated it until really recently. And it's completely transformed my life, doing the bit of shadow work. I mean, this is the thing, shadow work, you don't know what it's going to be. It might take you 5 minutes. You know, it might take you a Lark and Rose video or whatever, just to go, oh, well, I get that now, and that's it's like, oh, I know Kung Fu. I know statism. I understand what the word statism means, and I understand that there is nothing. Well, I mean, I'll let you draw your own conclusions. I'm not here to. I like the idea of this as being an invitation for you to make spiritual progress through investigating these ideas, rather than me pontificating about what's but obviously there's a bit of that, and you can probably kind of work out stuff between the lines. Anyway, it's not really relevant. So the next one along is carnism. So this is where most human beings are in some degree at a kind, they're at some kind of peace with the idea of domination. They've come to some kind of agreement with themselves about, yes, I can dominate this certain kind of animal, or I can outsource the physical domination, subjugation of this particular animal. And again, a great place for shadow work here is to, for instance, just look at how you are with different animals. in your actions, how your what effect your actions have on different animals, and how you feel about certain animals, and the likely schism between how you feel about certain animals and how you feel about other animals, certain other animals. There's probably something there which doesn't really, it's hard to reconcile for most people. And again, this is, it's just an invitation for spiritual growth. It's a place for you to like investigate and think about, and again, think about very, very simple morals and what you have a right to, or what any being has a right to. So that's that. And then Satanism, I've put, so Satanism is not something that I understood at all. I'll go back to me for a minute. I'm still here. It's Satanism is not something that I understood at all, and I'm using it here with sort of Mark Passio's definition, which is sort of pure self-interest, basically pure unadulterated self-interest. That's my sort of interpretation of what he defines it as. And I'm going to go so this is, again, it's about this schism between, you might have certain beliefs and certain other beliefs that aren't congruent, and so that's where you can shine the light, find the cracks in your own worldview, and let stuff die that's not serving you. Because if you're thinking two different things and they're not congruent, then one of them's wrong, basically. So you need to you're kind of clearing out. That's what shadow work is. You're just clearing out the junk that isn't in the vibe anymore. It just doesn't suit you anymore because it's false, basically. So the analogy with clearing out a space doesn't really follow, because we're talking about truth here. So with Satanism, I mean, again, I'm not going to spell out stuff about it. It's for you to reflect again on to what degree you act in purely out of self-interest. And so there are, what I've put around there is supremacism. So so that's a sort of in the domination submission game. Supremacism is the dominant, is the position of the dominant, and I'm calling it submissionism is the other side of it. So supremacism is that idea: I'm the best, I have the right to do anything. It's like, then that is pure self-interest. Other people's interests are not relevant. So it's not doing unto others as you would have done unto yourself. It's doing unto others whatever suits you. Dog eat dog. Egoism I've put there. And then these are sort of sub little categories that I've put in between. So I've got nihilism and solipsism, and then down to New Ageism. So, okay, so just to finish on Satanism. So this is another part which I haven't, I'm going to edit this a bit, but I want to put hedonism in there. And hedonism is actually kind of a subtle thing. It's not necessarily, hedonism is just seeking comfort. It's just placing one's physical comfort at the top of one's priorities, rather than something else, like, for example, the spiritual progress of and evolution of the world. So solipsism, and so sorry, lost my thought there. Hedonism, yeah, okay. So you then have these are all kind of next to each other: hedonism, nihilism, solipsism. They're all to do with this sort of lack of meaning, and then obviously solipsism is this sort of, in a way, the extreme of that. It's like, well, it means what I choose it to mean, and everything is relative to me. I create everything. These kind of ideas. And again, the invitation is to look at these ideas and see if they are congruent, how they're congruent with, and perhaps you can get to a point where you can write down things that you really believe, that you definitely believe. I don't know, that's an idea. But forget, this is just, you might not be interested in any of these. It's like, I'm just trying to help someone one time, with like going, oh yeah, I never thought about this one thing in that way. So just try whatever. But I think these are valid for all of us to like keep reflecting on these different areas. So what do I have there? New Ageism. So New Ageism is a sort of, there's a topic I'm not quite so hot on, I guess, but I guess it relates to the solipsism and the you create your own reality, that idea. That's a big part of it, and it's also hedonistic. It's sort of about like this comfort and peace. So it's not to say that there isn't value in finding peace in reality as it actually is right now. Of course, that is valuable, but that doesn't discount that action is also there is a right action which is of more value and which is more in the spirit of evolution and is more aligned with evolution. So that's a little bit of a distraction, but so I'll move on from that. So, but it's these are, do you really think you're creating your own reality? Like, what does that really, because a lot of people, I think, probably do, or they say that they do believe that, or they try and believe that. And well, let's maybe just have a think about how reality actually appears, rather than this mantra that's kind of been repeated in the New Age movement, and deal with that, and focus on that and see what we can reason about that. So maybe stepping back from these or questioning, looking at these aphorisms or whatever they're called, these like sort of articles of faith that come out of things. And so the same, I'm going around, so money, it's so hard it's so hard, this one. But the challenge, should you accept it, is to really keep thinking about money and understanding this spell that's over everyone about it. And I don't know that I can say much more about it. It's crazy, isn't it? What a crazy thing. What a crazy thing. Now everyone's poor and they can't afford things because the money's worth less. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that. But you can't get out of that thing. Yeah, no, the money is worth less. Anyway, I won't. That's a puzzle to me, So that's an area to keep exploring, and I am exploring it, as in how I think about it. So that's another one, and then we've got. Let's go to religion, and this is sort of, again, it's actually, I've positioned it up next to scientism and statism, sort of on that side, deliberately. I mean, they're not. There's a vague logic that will probably keep evolving, but the religion is next scientism, because it's the same thing of outsourcing your discernment, outsourcing your spiritual agency, your okay, let's just leave it at that. Yeah, your spiritual agency. You're saying someone else knows something and I can't work it out. I can't trust my own experience. So it's not to say that we can't learn things from people, whatever you want to call them, prophets, teachers, etc., writers, philosophers. Of course, we can learn, but religion. Well, am I going to dismiss all religion here? No, I'm not. I'm not here. I'm not doing that with any of these things, in fact. So I'm going to stick to what I'm doing, which is inviting you to look at your thoughts around religion and on what basis you believe or disbelieve things of all kinds. And yes, it's interesting. Like, it makes total sense in my mind that we have scientism next to religion, because they're sort of. I think one of would religion be right-brained, and scientism would be left-brained? I'm sorry, I get confused with that one. Something like that. But they're mirror versions of each other in a way, but they both actually amount to your outsourcing of your power of discernment. And it's really the abdication of discernment, because you're saying, well, I don't discern anymore. That someone does that for me. And then we have at the bottom materialism. So this is the closest that I've got now to this concept, and this is, I think, probably this one actually predates money, I guess. Yeah, it must do. I mean, what do I know? I don't know anything about ancient history. No one really does, do we? But the materialism is about boundaries, borders, etc. Everything to do with owning things, owning a place, and so again, the invitation is to think about, and I'm going to be doing more about this particular subject, which I'm really excited about, but the invitation is to think about ownership, questions such as, is it really possible, or what does it really mean for me to say that I own an object? And then again, extend that out. What does it really mean to say that I have intellectual property, or that I own land? And land has this particular different quality to other other objects. People sometimes refer to land as if it were an object, but we're actually talking about something different with land, because it's the place of being. If you be somewhere. So there's that. So materialism, the sort of logical materialism, is that it's all gone. There's nothing left for you, which is essentially where we're at. For most people, you have to pay just to be somewhere, or think they do, and act as if they do, act as if we do, don't we? So that's all about materialism, and that's a great, fascinating subject in itself. So there are 8 different places that you can look at your thoughts, and thoughts that might be uncomfortable for you, thoughts that hopefully are going to stir up further reflection, possibly feelings which you are hopefully going to then engage with and get to the bottom of. And your conscience can emerge through this process, or can, will engage in this process, and then you're away and you're making spiritual progress, because that's ultimately spiritual progress is. And here's the top secret bit of the video: it's moral progress. It's exactly the same thing. They are synonymous. So all of these questions about how you engage with the world, and on the subtle level, i.e. how you actually feel about these subjects, and how you act, and how that affects your actions. And it can be very small things, and it can be very big things. But engaging in these questions is, I believe, going to, just the simple engagement in them is spiritual progress, because you're asking yourself, what is actually right and wrong here? What does my actual conscience tell me? And that's a beautiful journey. So that is 8 ways to make a fast buck, or whatever I called this video. 8 paths to fast spiritual progress. So yeah, pick one, have a go, give it a go, and hopefully that will serve you well. And I'll be back with another video soon. Cheers.